So as I sat down to record this video, I received a phone call from the post office in California. The actual post office gave me a call on the phone. I am caught off guard. Honestly, they called me to say that my package, which I opened a ticket on, that was inadvertently delivered to my P.O. box, is being routed to me here in North Carolina. They even asked me if I needed the package in a hurry. And we're like, we can send it faster than the normal 2-week period. And of course I said yes to that because you guys know what it is. It's some comics that are going to be unboxed here on the channel. So I said, yes, I do need it. They are sending it to me. And again, I am completely blown away by this. Shout out to any and everyone that works for the post office because I am blown away. I did not expect that. Now let's get to the video. Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. Over the last maybe 10 months or so, I have been making various statements around the fact that this is an amazing time to be in the hobby of comic book collecting and comic book reading. And I say that because I honestly believe that there is some fantastic content that is coming out. And so instead of creating a video in which I say, hey, here are some books that you should read because they're really good, I thought that I would create a top 5 video highlighting some different ways and methods by which you can find some of these books yourself. Because after all, my mission here on the channel is to help you to make sense of comic book collecting. So with that, let's get to the tips. The very first tip is to be open-minded. I, for one, for a very long period of time was a Marvel only guy, and I was all about Marvel. I ignored everything else that came out. If it was not Marvel, I did not want to hear about it. And as a result of limiting my thinking, it also put me in a position where I was not reading some amazing content that was coming out from different publishers that happen to not be Marvel. This idea that a single publisher puts out the best content, in my opinion, is a little closed-minded. And I'm not necessarily saying that people are wrong for that. I'm simply saying that it is potentially a good thing to have an open mind, to be receptive. Yes, you should have your preferences. Yes, you should do what makes sense to you. But you might also want to consider other people's points of view, other people's perspective, the thought that maybe there is something else out there that might also appeal to you if you are receptive to that thing. So I would encourage you, if you're a Marvel person only, or if you're DC only person, to open your mind to the possibility of some other things so as to not miss out on this amazing hobby and also miss out on some really good stories and art that might be coming out from someone other than your favorite publisher. The second tip that I want to offer is to ask a friend, even if that friend is your local comic shop owner. By asking a friend, what might actually happen is that you could learn about a new character, a new creator, a new publisher, a new title, a new something that you were not aware of before. And this honestly goes a long way to helping you to understand other people's perspectives, other people's points of view. And again, you might actually stumble upon something really awesome. And honestly, when I made the transition to not just being all about Marvel, I started to enjoy this hobby even more. And a lot of that honestly was a direct result of me having this YouTube channel. Because in the live streams and even in the comments on pre-recorded videos, people were always throwing out these different creators, these different titles, these different books, whatever it was, from people, places, things that I had never heard of before. And honestly, by being open to what they were saying and being curious and wanting to know more and wanting to be in on the discussion, I decided to expand my horizons. I decided to start taking notes when people throw out different ideas, and I jot them down and I do a screenshot if I'm on Instagram, and I actually then try to go find those books and I read them. And as a result of that, again, I have exposed myself to some really amazing stories that have come out from a host of publishers that I would have probably ignored if I kept on my Marvel only blinders. Now, with that said, I am still very much a Marvel guy. I am still very much into spandex. Like, I love my superheroes, but I've also opened myself up to other genres, other publishers, other creators. And like I said, I am really having a fantastic time in this hobby. The third tip that I want to offer is to find the source material. I've said this before, this is an amazing time to be in this hobby, partly because of all of the great TV shows and movies and streaming shows that are actually coming out that are making me aware of some really awesome IP out there that I wasn't aware of before. And as a result of watching the shows, I am intrigued to go find the source material and to read that source material to better understand the TV shows. And by understanding the source material and the TV shows, it allows me to enjoy the content even more. The most recent example that I have of this is Sweet Tooth. I originally saw this comic a while ago. I dismissed it. I was not at all interested in something called Sweet Tooth. I had no interest in learning about it. And again, I had my blinders on. I saw the trailer. I was intrigued. I watched the show. I was hooked. I immediately went and read the first few issues of the comic. I continued to watch the show, and I enjoyed the show even more as a result of finding and reading the source material. And I will tell you, these movies, these TV shows are a great way, in my opinion, to find amazing source material. The Old Guard was a comic that I had never read before. Never read it. I knew that the show or the movie was coming out. I read the comic. I read all 5 issues, 6 issues, whatever it was, in like a binge. I then watched the movie and again was blown away as a result. And so it is just, again, being open-minded, being receptive, exposing yourself to the source material, not being afraid to say that something new is good is a really wonderful thing. The next tip that I want to offer is to look to the indies. And I am talking about indies like Ablaze and AWA and Dynamite and Boom Studios. Don't forget Scout Comics. All of these publishers, and probably many that I forgot to mention, are putting out some amazing content. I do not consider Image to be an indie, but look to Image as well as a creator-owned type of organization. They too are putting out some amazing content right now. That is not to say that Marvel and DC aren't putting out good content, but it is to say that there is something I think special that is happening with the indies. And so this is a really great time to expose yourself to some content that maybe you wouldn't otherwise expose yourself to for a really low entry price in many ways, and at the same time be able to help the industry because you're supporting a lot of these smaller organizations in a very meaningful way by actually picking up their comics. And don't forget about Bad Idea or whatever it is that they are going to call themselves in their next iteration, because they too are putting out, for better or worse, some really awesome comics. The last and final tip that I want to offer to you is to continue watching content like what I put out here on the channel. We actually do a live show called Comics Today on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And during this show, it is essentially a celebration of New Comic Book Day. And one of the first things that we always do as part of Comics Today is to talk about some of the books that have come out. And so in the chat, what you'll actually see is a lot of people throwing out some really awesome comics, many of which I haven't heard of before, but it's an opportunity again to kind of hear what's out there and to hear the rationale behind what people are reading and why they are also reading it. In addition to that, we have a Discord server that is set up. It is a free thing, and it's really an opportunity to extend the camaraderie, to extend the chat beyond the live stream to a text-based format on Discord. And there are links here on YouTube in the description of this video if you want to join us on the Discord server. My point here is that there is a ton of great content out there. There are also a ton of ways for you to expose yourself to this content. My hope is that you will take us up on these opportunities to expand your horizons, because this is a great time to be in comics. As always, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.